And man said, Let us make God in our image, and after our likeness. So man created God in his own image. In the image of man created he him. Everything God does, Satan makes an imitation of, or tries to. As Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses and Aaron, replicating the signs given unto them with their magic, Satan raises up his servants to contend with those who God sends. God sends a prophet to Israel. Satan raises up 450 prophets of Baal. God sends teachers, preachers, and evangelists. Satan sends more. The Lord sends his servants to establish churches. Satan has far more churches and much larger. God sent his Son, Jesus Christ. Satan has his Antichrist. Indeed, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. But just as the magicians of Egypt failed, in the end so also everything Satan produces fails. The Bible says Satan is the god of this world, and as Satan does, so do his children also. Jesus told the Pharisees plainly, You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. Just as it is now, the religious institutions at the time of Christ had been taken over by those imitating service to God, and very few were sincerely seeking God. This is the root of the apostasy taking place in the church today. Godless man is constantly trying to imitate and compete with God. Now, more than any time before, man has come to a place where he is defiantly throwing off the cloaks of traditional religion and donning lab coats to confront God to his face with facts. However, science so-called is itself merely a faith. And that's exactly what it is. If science was not a faith, recommendations given by government agencies would not later be refuted or revised because of new scientific data. But this is what we see happening over and over. In fact, scientific data changes much faster than bad religious doctrines do. Fallacies in science are frequently dismantled by science, which, we are told, proves that science works because it corrects itself. Yes and no. It also means that the science we are earlier compelled to obey was wrong, and soon enough we're going to find out about a whole lot of other things that are also wrong. Facts are to be believed. However, the theories that tie facts together into narratives are not worthy of being a religion, which they have become. The arrogance of man against God is astounding. Man defies God, and yet he must rely solely upon that which God has given him to do so. God gave us magnificent brains that can not only think, but control multifarious body functions at the same time without a thought, 24/7. Man's cheap imitation of the brain is a computer, which in comparison is a piece of junk. When I flip up the lid on my laptop, often an awesome picture appears of something God created. But then there's a little clickbait question with the first couple words of an answer, attempting to lure me off and somehow get into my brain. My brain's smarter than that. At any rate, the scientific technocrats have created an artificial brain that's trying to get into my brain and collect information. Now that's done, they can move on while perpetually trying to improve it. So what's up next? Well, it should worry you. Science has no soul. It does not love, hate, feel compassion, or cruelty, or loyalty, or devotion, or anything that involves spirituality. This makes for a lousy religion. But never fear. Enter the artificial conscience, complete with heart, mind, and soul. All artificial, of course, but when brought up to a high enough level, it will be able to deceive many real ones, for it will be God made in the image of man. In the image of man made they God. Needless to say, the emerging artificial intelligence merely mimics humans, but to agree so far beyond, it mimics God. And they give power into this image that it should both live and speak. And people on the earth will worship it. All hail, A.G., artificial God. And to think Aldous Huxley thought it was going to be praise forward. So with this new artificial God, science will now have a God with a heart and a soul, and will feign to have a conscience. Yes, they will have to give it an artificial conscience to keep it from wiping out humanity when it seems the best thing to do. Or will they?